Hi friends, welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Amy from Neurotic Mom Bakes. I have previously shown you my brownie recipe, which I got great feedback and rave reviews about. And if you liked that one, I think you're gonna love this one. This is my blondie recipe. A blondie recipe is just a brownie without the cocoa in it, without the chocolate. So I have tweaked this and gotten it just right, and I like it so much. I think I've made it, I don't know, half a dozen times in the last couple weeks. So there are some tricks to this to get the perfect flavor and the perfect consistency. And the first one is you're going to want to brown some butter. And by that I mean you're going to slightly burn some butter on the stovetop. So I have 1 cup of unsalted butter here. And I'm going to go over to my stove. I'm going to put it on medium-high. And you don't need to stir it or anything. I'll swirl it around just a little bit. And when it gets really foamy on the top, you know it's done. You don't need to stir or anything. We're just letting it sit here and melt and do its thing. I'll swirl it around every once in a while. And like I said, you will know it's done when it starts to get foamy. And I'll show you exactly what that looks, not starts, but gets really foamy on the top. That means you have browned that butter and it gives these blondies the best flavor. Okay, do you see that? It turns instantly into that foam. It's no longer bubbling, boiling in the middle. That's the stage you want, okay? And if you wanted to go a little bit past that for an even richer flavor, you can, but that's perfect right there. Now you're gonna quickly come over to your bowl. In here I have 2 cups of brown sugar, packed brown sugar, and I'm gonna pour the butter right over. And it smells so good. And you're gonna stir this until the sugar is all dissolved. Just be really careful, that butter is very hot. Dark or light brown sugar works. I prefer the dark. Again, the flavor's just a little bit richer and deeper, so good. Now let this sit and cool a couple minutes, because if you add your eggs right now, they're going to cook and you don't want that. So we're just gonna let that cool down just a bit. While it's cooling down, I'm going to show you how I prep my pan. I have a 9x9 square pan, and I've lined it with 2 sheets of parchment, one going this way, one going that way. Parchment works the best. Tin foil I've done, it'll stick in like just the creases of the brownies or blondies. I think parchment works the best. And then spray it generously with your cooking spray. And that's ready to go. And this should be cooled off enough. We are going to add 2 eggs and a tablespoon of vanilla. At this point, you don't need your spoon anymore. We're gonna move that. You need a whisk for this next part. And we're gonna start whisking this together. This next step is important, don't skip it. Once you get it fully incorporated, you're gonna whisk vigorously for a full minute. And it's going to lighten in color slightly and increase in volume slightly. And you need to do this step to get the right texture. There we go. Okay, you don't need your whisk anymore. Next step, we're going to add 2 cups of flour. 1 teaspoon of baking powder and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. All right, we're just going to barely start mixing this. If you want to leave your blondies plain, then these are all the ingredients you need. However, there are lots of other things you can add. You can add chopped pecans or chopped walnuts. You can add white chocolate chips. And I actually found the next addition by accident. It is a game changer. My kids who don't even like nuts loved these in there. I ran out of nuts and I found some lightly salted peanuts. And Just gonna get a handful or two. Don't mix that all the way if you're going to add some additions. And just do a rough chop. Just kind of break them down into smaller pieces. I didn't know if I would like the peanuts in there, but they are so good. I love nuts in my desserts, and I loved when I did the pecans and walnuts, but this was so good. And like I said, one of my kids who hates nuts, ate like 4 big pieces with the peanuts in them because they were so good. So I'm actually gonna add some lightly salted peanuts and just a few white chocolate chips. So before it's all the way mixed in, if you're gonna add something, add it at this stage. Now this next part, do not overmix. You're barely going to fold that flour in, barely, barely. Just make sure you get it off the bottom of the bowl, but don't overmix this. Just as soon as you no longer see any white from the flour, that's good, right there. And then we're just going to get it into my pan. Now, another trick is baking this. You are going to put this, move this aside. You're going to put this in a 325-degree oven for 30 minutes. At that point, you're going to turn, without opening the oven or anything, I mean, you can check on it, but just turn the oven to 350, and you're going to bake it for another 15 to 20 minutes. And that will, the reason I do that is that will enable the center to get all the way cooked without the edges getting totally crisp and a little overdone. We're ready for the oven. Again, 325 for 30 minutes to start. All right, these have cooled completely and I'm ready to cut them. Here's a trick. If you like to eat your brownies or blondies warm out of the pan, I don't. I prefer them cold or room temperature. But if you just can't wait and you need to eat them, the best way to cut them is with a plastic knife. When it's warm, it'll cut cleanly right through. But when it's cooled down, I like to use a pretty sharp steak knife. And let me show you the inside of one of these. There we go. You have the perfect texture. It's just barely gooey inside and crispy on the outside. And yeah, these are a winner in my house. My kids are asking me to make them all the time. So there you go, my blondie recipe. Let me know how you like it and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. And you can also catch me on Instagram @Neurotic Mom.